video, we will show you how to control the motors from your computer and how to work with the switches. Let's start from zero. If the stepper controller software is running, close it. Then unplug the USB cable from the computer and unplug the power supply from the board. Connect the power supply to the stepper board. The green power LED should light up. Now wait 10 seconds before proceeding with the next step. You see, when you plug the power supply to the stepper board, the onboard computer boots up. This small computer, just like your desktop or your laptop, has to perform some housekeeping operations before it's ready to work. These 10 seconds give the onboard computer time to initialize so it can talk to your PC. After the 10 seconds have elapsed, plug the USB cable to any port in your PC. You should see the data LEDs blink. In most cases, depending on how you configure your Windows system, your computer will emit some kind of an alert. This indicates that the stepper board and the PC are talking to each other. Run the stepper controller software by either double-clicking on its desktop icon or by navigating to the application in the Windows Start menu. As the program starts, you will first see the application's splash window. After several seconds, the splash window will close and you will be shown the program's main window. We are now ready to start working with the motor. This section of the stepper board has the motor connectors. Notice that the connectors are labeled 0, 1, 2, and 3. If you look at the Motors Control tab in your PC, you will notice there are 4 groups of buttons, and they are labeled Motor 0, Motor 1, Motor 2, and Motor 3. Each one of these groups of buttons control the functions of the motor that is plugged into the corresponding connector. In this part of the tutorial, we will use the trolley. If you're following along with the model you built, it is important that you place your trolley with the motor on the left side. We will now plug the motor to the connector labeled 0 and we'll move the mouse pointer over the Motor 0 up button. Leave the mouse over the button until the tooltip appears. The tooltip informs us that the motor will turn while we hold the mouse button down. Press and hold the mouse button and the motor will turn. Release the button and the motor will stop. If you press and hold the down button, the motor will turn in the opposite direction. Releasing the button will stop the motor. Dragging this slider changes the motor speed. If we set the speed to 100 and we now press the buttons, the trolley will move faster along the tracks. Let's now turn our attention to the switches. We will set the stepper board so that when the trolley moves left and closes this switch, the motor will stop automatically. Our first step will be to connect the switch to the connector labeled 7. Now click on the Limit Switches tab. Notice that the Switches tab has 8 groups of controls. Each one of these groups is used to control one of the switches connected to the board. This group of controls is used to set switch 0. These controls work with switch 1 and so on with all the groups. Since we are now setting switch 7, we will concentrate on this group. We want to set switch 7 to stop motor 0. So we click here and we select 0 from the list. Our next step is to tell the stepper controller when we want the switch to act. We saw before that the trolley can move either to the right or to the left. We also saw that when we click on the down button, the trolley moves right. And when we click on the up button, it moves left. Since we want the switch to act when the trolley is moving to the left, we click here on Up. A click on the Set button completes the procedure. Let's test the setup. Click on the Motors Control tab to get back to the motor controls. Now press the Up button of motor 0 and don't release it. The trolley will move until it reaches the switch and closes it. Then, without you doing anything, the motor will stop. Now we will set the board so that this switch will stop the trolley when it's moving right. First, plug the switch in the switch 2 connector. The only reason I picked switch number 2 is to show you that any switch can be used to stop any motor in any direction. You have total flexibility when working with the switches and buttons. Again, we click on the Limit Switches tab and we select motor 0 from the switch 2 list. This time, however, we want the switch to stop the motor when the car is moving right. So we select down here and we click on Set to activate the switch. To test the new settings, we go back to the Motor Controls tab and we press and hold the down button for motor 0. The trolley will move until the switch stops it. Now that you know the basics of motor controls and limit switches, continue experimenting on your own. When you're ready, continue with the next video where we go over the rest of the buttons in the Motor Controls tab.